Hello and welcome to a special Mental Health Week presentation. My name is Alex Salome and I'm joined by my co-host and colleague, Justin Dickey. We both work on CMHA's Talk Today program, a sports mental health program supporting amateur and youth athletes across Canada.
Our theme this year for Mental Health Week is My Story, where we're encouraging individuals across Canada to share their mental health story. That's why today we have a special guest to share his story, Garrett McFadden. Garrett was the first ever two-time Ontario Hockey League Humanitarian of the Year and an OHL champion during his time with the Guelph Storm. Following a post-secondary playing career with Acadia University during the COVID-19 pandemic, Garrett is now the captain of the ECHL's Reading Royals. Welcome, Garrett McFadden. How's it going today, man?
It's good. Nice sunny day here in Reading, PA. So no complaints for me.
Nice. So we'll just jump into it. Why is mental health an important cause to you?
I mean, I think for me personally, I guess, obviously I dealt with some stuff, when I was younger with sort of the death of a close family friend, by suicide. So, at the time I was like 14. So it was something that, I obviously didn't really know much about. And, I think as you're kind of growing up and realizing, not only, I guess, within yourself and kind of dealing with the ups and downs of like being a kid and growing into a teenager and then, kind of a young adult and then into adulthood, it was kind of just something that, obviously it took something relatively tragic to kind of spark that, obviously the interest in mental health and the importance. And then, my involvement in the charity work in McFadden's movement, it's not that, over the course of time, it's become more and more important to me. I think it's been very important from the very beginning. And, I think since starting that, you kind of realize, how many people are impacted by it. And, how many people, I guess I never really would have known struggle with their mental health. And just kind of opening up that conversation has definitely made it all the more important to me, just because it's something that I want to be an advocate for and whether I can help people or kind of make that conversation easier for strangers or for the people that are closest to me. It's become definitely something that's important in that sense.
You mentioned McFadden's movement, and it's something that I think you guys are doing amazing work in. Can you tell us a little bit more about what McFadden's movement is?
Yeah, sure. So when I was playing for the Guelph Storm back in, I think it was 17, 18 or 16, 17, I want to say, maybe it was our first year. It's kind of turning into a blur. All of a sudden you're like, 6 or 7 years out of the league. But yeah, it was the team was super involved in the community. I grew really close to Steph Karate, who was working for us at the time, doing kind of our PR and community relations stuff, and kind of sat down before my fourth year and just kind of we're shooting new ideas back and forth about different ways to get involved with the community, and the conversation sort of around maybe a foundation or a not-for-profit or something like that, geared towards mental health and in young kids and athletes came up, and we kind of got right to work, which was really cool. And then over the course of the last 7 years, we've sort of just been building on that platform, which initially started just with some small room talks with minor hockey teams or, getting into schools, just kind of telling my story about being an OHL player and talking a little bit about West Cameron and, and then trying to give some advice to kids about their own mental health, and then kind of working alongside CMHA with that resource and obviously with West for Youth too, started there. And then now we've kind of branched off more into like events and golf tournaments and fundraising and stuff like that, which has been really fun. Obviously I'm playing pro now, so you kind of have a little bit of less time, and now that I live in the States, it's sort of harder to get involved in the communities. And I was doing a lot of stuff around Guelph in my hometown in Kincardine, so was a little bit easier back then. It's always nice to, when I come home to try and get, a couple talks or whatever. And, where I can talk about McFadden's movement and talk to a bunch of kids and stuff like that. But I would say for the most part now, it's just kind of geared towards fundraising. And we used to run a ball hockey tournament. COVID kind of put an end to that, but it's been something that we've talked about potentially bringing back, and I know we want to, but it's kind of one, we're super busy. And then we have a golf tournament too, which has been awesome. We're moving into our third year of that too, which we love doing, and get all the guys back in town and do it kind of celebrity style. So it's been really fun.
That's amazing. And what kind of progress have you seen sort of on the fundraising side, on the impact side? Like what have you been seeing in the community through the work you've been doing? I know you're in the States now, but you've been doing so much work over so many years. It seems like there might be some great numbers there to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we just last year we surpassed over 100,000 donated we donate to CMHA Waterloo Wellington, and then West for Youth Online, we kind of split 50-50. So that's kind of been a big milestone for us. I know we're really, pushing for the next ones, and always trying to, beat last year's check that we donate at the end of the year after the golf tournament and stuff like that. But I mean, to me, I think like the conversation around mental health has definitely gained some momentum. I know obviously like Bell Let's Talk has been a big one, and has definitely made people a lot more open to that conversation and sort of speaking out about mental health. But I mean, for me, and we sort of tend to work more in the sports world and with young athletes and stuff like that. But I think that part of it has gained a lot of momentum just since we started too. And, I always say, like, I feel like since we really made something happen, like, all of a sudden you've noticed a lot more athletes are starting to talk about their mental health, and it's not, guys like me who are playing in the minor leagues. It's like top tier, like, a guy I always like to use as an example is like DeMar DeRozan, like publishing an article on the Players Tribune, and it's kind of, puts it into perspective that, everyone across all sports and all different walks of life, I guess, are sort of dealing with the same issues. And it doesn't matter whether you're at the pinnacle of your career or, sort of feeling like you're in the dumps. It's one of those things that more and more people are feeling more comfortable about talking, and everyone obviously has a different type of battle. So that's kind of been cool to see over, I guess, the last like 7 or 8 years. Is just, I feel like there's a lot more momentum in the conversation. I feel like it's getting a little bit easier to talk about, which is kind of, one of the big hopes that we had when we first started out.
I wouldn't discount, where you are either, Garrett. I know that, you don't have like the NHL platform yet, but, every person speaking out kind of, makes that difference. So, my question is, many people have a story about how mental health has impacted them or those around them. But what made you want to go the extra mile and take action in the ways that you have?
I mean, that's a good question. Obviously, like, when Wes died by suicide, it was a sort of something that struck close to me. He was very relatable, I guess, for me. We played in the same minor hockey organization, and I couldn't really wrap my head around why something like that would happen to someone who's only a couple years older than me. And that kind of stuck with me. And then, I think it was just an opportunity for me as well. I played in the same junior organization for 5 years. I saw how involved the team was in the community, and I felt like I had a platform to sort of take a message that I really believed in and sort of run with it. And, with a ton of help from Steph, it was something that we kind of brought to life. And, I remember kind of thinking about it, like, if this works, then great. And if not, it's, it was a good try kind of thing. And, to kind of look back on those days and I guess see where we are now, it's, it's really cool. And it's something that we obviously want to keep going. And
you alluded to this a little bit earlier, and I'm just wondering, have you noticed a change in how mental health is talked about in the dressing room?
I think definitely. I mean, to say that it's like more of an open conversation, I don't know if it's quite there yet, but I think it's in a, I don't even know how to explain it. Like maybe guys are just more open to it when they know that certain people are advocates for mental health. Like I know for myself, like maybe there's an extra comfortability factor knowing that someone is kind of, knows or feels like you can get some advice from someone who's been trying to work with people in mental health and make a difference in that sense. I think that, one thing I've noticed and through my time in the OHL and when I was playing in youth sports at Acadia and even through pro is that the resources that are kind of at our fingertips are definitely growing. And I think that's, I would say when I was in Guelph, there was a lot of different things right from the beginning. And even still, they made what I felt like was improvements every year, and the league as well too, kind of making steps to add the Talk Today program and different sort of trainings through CMHA and stuff like that. And I think that's sort of where most of the improvement has come from. I'd say it's at the end of the day, it's still a locker room, and I feel like there is camaraderie in there, but it's the conversations I want to say that are outside of the rink that probably have the most impact, and as well as teams are definitely taking it upon themselves to have those resources for their guys and to make sure that whether it's through the OHL or now that I'm playing pro, it's kind of through the PHPA and our union and stuff like that they have helplines and people to talk to, and there's people within the organization that you can kind of have these conversations with that'll never get out to anyone, and that kind of makes you feel better about it, and definitely allows the players to kind of work through situations that they're going through and not really have to worry about repercussions or saying the wrong thing, and just kind of making sure that they look out for themselves. So I would say it's changed in a sense that maybe it's not as like a guy coming up to you in the locker room and saying like, hey man, I'm depressed. But I mean, outside of the rink, like, hey, you want to grab a coffee and maybe having a conversation, kind of geared towards that. Definitely. I feel like happens a lot more than maybe it used to.
As a captain, is there anything that you do in particular to kind of encourage, like, to make guys feel more comfortable talking to you? Like, I know you've mentioned some of your work, but any kind of advice you might have for other captains out there or other teammates that kind of want to make sure that their teammates know that, hey, if you want to talk, I'm here to chat with you. Happy to talk about it.
I would just say like trying to check in on as many guys as possible. And, for me, I've played with a lot of different teammates and a lot of guys tick in different ways. And, you could ask a guy, hey, how's it going? And he'll be quite frank with you and tell you exactly how things are going. You kind of go from there. And there's other guys that maybe it takes a little bit more. So, I think for me and something that I learned when I was in junior from my captains before me was just kind of checking in with guys and making sure that, they kind of feel like you have a relationship, and not that you want it to be a fake one, but I think just being able to stay in touch with every single guy on a day-to-day basis. And every day when I walk into the rink, I try to say hey to everyone before the day gets started. And the first time I see them, hey, how's it going, kind of thing. And I think it really helps and creates that kind of, I want to say camaraderie, but at the same time, it's just that comfortability with, I want to be open to any conversation with whoever is around, and I want to help out as much as possible. So that, and I think, listening is obviously important too. Like, you're not going to be involved in every single conversation that happens within the locker room, but kind of being in touch with what's going on with different guys, whether or not they're, telling you what's going on. But kind of just knowing, I guess, what's happening. And if you feel like there's times to step in and, take a guy for lunch or go grab a coffee or something like that, it was always something that I know helped me when I was younger. And I felt like, as I kind of was a captain in junior and, in university sport, and now at the pro level, it's kind of one of those things where, it can be a bit bombarding when you're hanging out with 25 guys all the time. So if you can get a guy away from the rink and really allow them to kind of open up in a safe space, and I feel like it's the most productive.
That's awesome. Okay, Garrett. So, last kind of tough question for you. We're recording this prior to your playoff series against Maine. What things do you do to prepare and take care of your mental health before a big game?
I would say rest is always key. Like I said, it's sunny and 75 today, or 25 or whatever Celsius. It's it's tough to keep up with both of them, but it's a nice day out there. I feel so Americanized saying that it's 75 degrees out, but I think just for me it's rest. Trying to get as much sleep and downtime as you can. We travel a ton, and it's definitely not glorified. Coach bus pretty much everywhere, and it's all over the States. So the rest factor has always been big for me. I feel like when I've slept enough or got a nap in, I feel just a bit more ready to go. And then trying to, I guess, like get outside and really enjoy things. I mean, we play in kind of a tough season where half the time it's winter and snowy and cold, and can be pretty hard on the mental health through the thick of the season. And we play 72 games in 4 or 5 months, and that's a lot of hockey and a lot of travel. So trying to stay on top of, I guess, those two things, whether it's getting enough sunlight and exercise and obviously rest. And on top of that, I think just kind of hanging out and making sure that I get in touch with buddies from back home and have simple conversations. And a lot of time kind of spent on the phone with family, catching up. I feel like that kind of can center me a little bit and calm me down. And I'm pretty simple about it, I would say, like whether it's those three things, and then just kind of hanging out with my roommates at home. I was pretty lucky to get 4 really solid guys in my house this year, so we've got a good little spot and a good thing going, and that definitely makes things a little bit easier when you're going about the day to day and just kind of hanging out.
That's great, and I think that's some really good advice too for a lot of folks out there when you're talking about the value of rest and conversations with family and connection, and that need for connection. And I think it's something that that is a really valuable tool for a lot of folks. And I think that's really great advice. I think on our end, thank you so much for coming here today. Is there anything you wanted to cover?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're listening in and interested in learning more, I guess, about McFadden's movement, I'm pretty active on social media, and our website is mcfaddensmovement.com. Our Twitter, Instagram handles are at McFadden's Movement, and then we're also on Facebook. And if you're interested in getting involved, there's tons of information online. Also, I guess I'll plug the golf tournament again. We're holding our 3rd annual celebrity style McFadden's Movement golf tournament. It's on July 21st, a Friday this year, which normally it's on a Monday. So we're hoping for a big showing. If you're interested in registering, it's open and online at mcfaddensmovement.com.
Just want to say thanks again to Garrett for his time today and speaking with us. And for more information on what he's doing, please check out mcfaddensmovement.com.
This was a special Mental Health Week presentation by CMHA Ontario's Talk Today program. Talk Today is one of the most comprehensive mental health programs for amateur sports in Canada. Its aim is to promote the mental health of young athletes and to spread awareness about the benefits of positive mental health throughout communities across the country. To learn more, visit www.talktoday.ca.